Thank you so much, Dr. Koranga. Thank you so much. I so enjoyed the way you were so bullish with your words and the body language. So it just tells me that the market is going to end on a bullish note today. Right, Doctor? All right, please let's give him up another round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you. So yes, it is time for us to take a learning. It is time for us to talk about why we are here. It is time to listen to the keynote address on the theme for today's gathering, Build to Last, what it takes to be built to last, a roadmap for corporate Nigeria. And who better to give us that keynote address than Dr. Biodun Adedipe. Please make welcome Dr. Biodun Adedipe as he takes the keynote address on the theme, Built to Last. His presentation. Thank you so much, sir.
The chairman of the board of governors of Pearl Awards, distinguished members of the board of governors, the special guests, my fellow, let me say, professional colleagues that will be dissecting the theme of this special corporate summit. Let me then stand on the existing protocol. I won't sit on it because I'm standing. So, and I want to start by warmly facilitating the founder and president, Mr. Tayo Orekoya, FCA, and members of the Board of Governors of the Pearl Awards, Nigeria and Africa, on this auspicious occasion of the celebration of the 30th anniversary of the awards, and several notable, and I underscore that, milestones and epochs since it was launched in May 1995. I'm happy to also mention that I've enjoyed the privilege of being a part of the project since inception. And I thank you for that, Mr. Orekoya. Even more exciting for me is to give this keynote address at this special corporate summit that commemorates the 30th anniversary, along with the array of leading business founders, and I want us to underscore that, entrepreneurs, and top professionals as discussants. Now, starting out to reward companies on the Nigerian exchange, then known as Nigerian Stock Exchange, for exceptional operational and stock market performance. Pearl Awards has also incorporated corporate governance into the evaluation criteria. Altogether, the awards point corporate Nigeria in the direction of what matters and could be a basis for sustainability. It is gratifying to also note that all the past winners of the awards are still going strong. It's important to note that. Thank you so very much. So, which also speaks to the essence of Pearl Awards as not only being transparent in the evaluation process, but also in the selection of the winners, that these indeed are entities that have not only run with performance focus, but also run in terms of good corporate governance practices. Now, that said, I want to also say this, that perhaps more importantly is to underscore the multidimensional essence of this gathering today, which is to energize corporate leaders, emerging entrepreneurs, and stakeholders to pursue innovative, resilient, and sustainable practices to assure an enduring future. We can talk about 30 years of Pearl Awards today because Pearl Awards still is. Now, this also is an opportunity to provide a comprehensive built-to-last framework for not only Nigerian businesses, but African businesses. And most importantly, establish grounds for significant corporate contributions to Nigeria and Africa's economic development. So let me again thank you, Pearl Awards, and congratulate you on what has been achieved. That done, let me lay a background to this conversation today. The discourse is about how corporate Nigeria can build resilience into their systems and evolve into sustainable, multi-generation entities that impact economic development in and beyond the country. Typically, an entrepreneur starts off with a vision that his or her company is solution to a present societal problem. That's the general pattern. With a conviction that the entrepreneur can solve the problem better than others, solve the problem faster than others, solve the problem more creatively than others. Which, of course, reminds me of a statement credited to the founder of IBM. A statement made in 1911. And think about that. That's Tom Watson. He said, think to solve the problems of the world. That was the foundation of IBM, laid in 1911. But some entrepreneurs, are not so many, venture beyond the present and envision that their companies can also solve future societal problems as well. But commonly, companies remain relevant and rewarding while the visionary is alive for two reasons. Number one, the energy the founder puts into the venture. Then the second one is the emotional attachment to the vision. Some, however, collapse for several reasons that range from external factors to poor judgment, and in fact, poor choices by the entrepreneur or by those employed to run or work for the companies. But the real challenge is long-term corporate sustainability. And this starts from the fact that most entrepreneurs hardly at inception think forward 100 years. And I will tell you a short story on that shortly. Companies, therefore, are in two categories from my perspective in dimensioning sustainability. Number one, those envisioned from inception to last beyond the promoters. And then those that accidentally or incidentally live beyond the promoters. Now, whether planned or accidental, organizations that have been in operation beyond 100 years tend to generally have or have earned the respect of their core stakeholders, analysts, and the general public. They have certain attributes that are lessons for aspirants. So now, looking at corporate Nigeria and sustainability, I will take first from an observation of what happened in the US with S&P, 500 index. In 2020, D. Clark did a survey of the S&P 500 index and discovered that in 21 years, that is, companies that were still on the board survived on the average for only 21 years. And also that it was 32 years way back in 1965, which means companies on that board that had existed for a long period of time were only 21 as of 5 years ago. But in 1965, They were 32 in number. Now I said, let me also take a cue and look at Nigeria. I began my doctoral research in July 1982. And my research was focused on how companies in Nigeria are financed. So it was on capital structure. So the primary data I used was drawn from the companies listed on what we call then the Nigerian Stock Exchange in 1984. Only 42 companies were listed in 1984 on the stock exchange in Nigeria. Only 42. So now, for the purpose of this conversation, I looked at the stocks listed today and asked myself, how many of them are still in operation? Because 1984 to 2025 is quite some distance. All right? So, and I discovered that, and this is good for us, 26 of those companies have survived and remain listed on the NGX board as of today. But that is 62%, which is quite strong, by the way. But out of the 26 companies listed in 1984 and today that have survived, only one is of Nigerian origin. The rest of them are foreign. So that means if we now sit back and ask ourselves, between 1985 and year 2000, companies that were in existence then and are still in operation today, there should be some lessons we can draw from them. So there are not so many Nigerian companies that have lasted over 100 years in operation. Very few. When I researched that and did a count, I found only 6. Only 6 Nigerian entities have operated for over 100 years. Now the big question is, why is it so? We can also ask the corollary of a question, why not? So where I started from is why Nigerian companies don't last. Our research done alerted a number of factors, but I shortlisted them to 8. Number 1, poor business planning and execution. And I think in the goodwill messages we had earlier on, there was a reference to planning and execution. But how does that go? That also includes unclear vision for some of them, and then what I would describe as mission drift, which you started with a definition of your core business, but the course of time, because of the lure that people are making money in some other sectors or spheres, so you drift away from your mission, and of course eventually that vision dies. Secondly, inadequate capital and poor financial management. Now what we have discovered, in fact, in my research in the early 80s, when we began looking at how companies are funded, we also did a part of my research then on corporate failure. I said, why do companies fail? Is it only about lack of access to funding, or a defect in the funding structure, the capital structure as we call it, or perhaps there are some other reasons? Now, one of the key things, and this also applies to most of our SMEs, not just in Nigeria, but globally, that fail. It is not because they don't have access to money, it's because of poor financial management. So what we find there then is that there is a deficient in capacity to manage the resources available to them. Then, of course, what I term innovation deficit. There's a book published, I think, in the last 1 to 2 months on Microsoft in the last 50 years. But the central issue in Microsoft, that book, is innovation. In fact, that's the title of the book. Innovation, the central theme for Microsoft in the last 50 years. So now, many companies that fail, it is because of what I call innovation deficit. There's also poor customer profiling, value delivery and management. What I term as a disrespect for customers. All right? There's also poor corporate governance. We all know that today. Happily, the president of the Charter of Directors of Nigeria is here, the #1 promoter of good corporate governance. Now, what that means also is a lot of them are into what I call weak self-policing. Corporate governance is self-policing, but most of them are weak in that. And of course, poor handling of people risks. And there are 3 dimensions to people risks in Nigeria today. It's happening all over the world anyway. We talk about the Japa syndrome in Nigeria. Oftentimes you think it's only about Nigeria. It's all over the world. About this time last year, the Japa trouble in the US was most of their middle-level professionals were migrating to Australia. That was the headache for US about this time last year on Japa. So it's not a Nigerian phenomenon. Of course, you go to UK, their own is to Europe. If you get to Europe, it's moving to another territory. Of course, you go to Asia and Middle East, it's a different thing. So it's happening all over the world. So that means if your company will last, then you must be conscious of people risks. How do you ensure they maintain the right attitude? How do you ensure that you manage mobility of people, which is happening all over the world, like I said? And then, of course, cost implications. Infrastructural and regulatory constraints. This is a common excuse among companies that fail. But what we tell ourselves is that the companies that survived and last have also operated in the same environment. I will shortly tell you why we now say nowadays that VUCA is old school terminology. We no longer talk VUCA. Now we talk BANI. B-A-N-I. I will come to that shortly. Okay? Some talk about government policy inconsistency, but I will also put it this way, that if you say policy inconsistency is the cause of failure of your business, that means you are not sufficiently paranoid. But that is the type of a book written by Andrew Grove of Intel. It was titled, Only the Paranoid Survive. That means people believe that something will go wrong. He called it 10x factor. Now, obviously, from the short list, these 8 reasons I gave for corporate failure in Nigeria, companies can achieve long-term survival if they make the right choices and execute them effectively. But before I go into the why not, which will be the heart of the conversation, let me address some contextual issues. I won't make it so hard, so that you don't say I've veered into the realm of theory. But there was a book published about 31 years ago with the title of this team, Built to Last, written by Jim Collins and Jerry Porras. And they called it Built to Last, Successful Habits of Visionary Companies. I gave the highlight in 2 slides. The first highlight there is what are the attributes of a visionary company. They say number 1, they are a premier institution in their industry, in which case they are a reference when competitors are plotting their strategies. How do we beat them? Because they are a leader in the industry. Equally, the regulators can't ignore them. In fact, there's a particular bank in Nigeria, I won't mention the name, so it won't be like I'm marketing them, okay? That the regulators said they are praying for that bank not to fail. Now, just think about it. Regulator is praying that the entity it is regulating and supervising should not fail. Prayer. All right? Because they looked at that bank and said, this bank is systemic. If it fails, it can result in serious failure of other banks in that particular sector. All right? Such companies that are visionary are also widely admired by knowledgeable business people. They also make an imprint on the world. Equally, they have multiple generations of chief executive officers, which means they have planned for succession at the executive level and implemented it successfully over time. Then, of course, they also had multiple products or service life cycles. And Jim Collins and Porras said they must have been established before 1950. What that means simply is 1950 to 1994, 44 years. Now, when we talk about generation for human beings, it's about 40 years. That's a generation, all right? So in which case, that must be a company that has lasted longer than a generation, okay? Now, how about the key ideas what are the things that you must pay attention to build a company that will last? They said, clock building, not time telling. That means you must build the entity and not focus on a leader. I will tell you a story about FCMB shortly with respect to that. They also said, no tyranny of the or. Rather, it's a tyranny of the and. Which means everybody in the company has some value to put on the table. So in which case, as leaders, we must encourage members of our team to come up with ideas. No idea is stupid. I have a formula for that in terms of business management. I call it ratio 100 to 20 to 1. But that one has a star on top of it. The idea is bringing Pareto rule inside it, 80-20. When I says, allow your people to bring so many ideas, maybe generate 100 of them. But 20 of the 100 may be useful and relevant. So identify the 20. But out of the 20, you may find one idea that is a star idea. So in which case, you are looking for one idea that will make a difference, but you encourage as many as 100 ideas. So I put it as a ratio, 100 to 20 to 1 with a star. All right? Now, they said you must also think beyond profits. Then preserve the core of your business. Now, there used to be an advert on CNN now where, a correspondent will carry a microphone, randomly meet people on the road, and they'll put a microphone to your mouth. What is your job? Some people will answer succinctly. Some will ramble. They can't tell you what their job is. So I sat back one day and asked myself, what is your job? How do you define your job in a very simple manner? So I came up with this idea that my job is I sell ideas. So that made it very succinct for me. I sell ideas. So if anybody wants to buy anything from me, all I sell are ideas. Ideas that will make people pay me money. But if I want to sell ideas that people will pay me for, that means I must be research in motion. RIM. That means what I say here today on this subject, if I'm invited to speak about the same topic tomorrow, I shouldn't say the same thing. That's why I call it research in motion. All right? You must also develop a cult-like culture that will make people look at the organization and say, we cannot understand their culture, the way they work. I think there's a friend of mine that went on a visit to a company, and he said he went in there for a meeting with the CEO around 9 p.m. And everybody was busy working as if it was 9 a.m. I will also give it to Lagos State government. I visited Revenue House recently. I got in there about 6 p.m. And I saw everybody in Revenue House working as if it was just 8 a.m. And I said, public sector, civil servants, 6 p.m., and conducting themselves and full of energy as if it was 8 a.m. I said I need to make time to study how you developed and evolved that culture at LRS. I saw it as fantastic. Now, when you look at companies that are built to last, they are big in terms of ambition on sustainability, not on revenue, profit, or size. So let me now come to the central issue. Now, when it comes to corporate longevity, Japan stands out in the entire world. It's only in Japan you will find companies that are over 1,000 years old. There are 14 of them when I did the research and checked. Over 1,000 years old. And then companies that are over 100 years old in Japan, over 33,000. Over 100 years old companies, over 33,000. And so, it then means for them, sustainability is by choice. Oh, excellent, plenty of time. All right, thank you. He says, I still have 20 minutes. I will finish before 20 minutes. Thank you very much. Now, let me come to this. I recall sometime in the early 1990s, I was then head of strategy and chief economist of FCMB. FCMB was still small, medium-sized, as we called it then. The founder of the bank is late now. He used to tell us then that what we want FCMB to be is a medium-sized merchant bank. I joined the bank April 1992, and I challenged the idea. Why should we aim to be medium-sized? Why can't we be bigger? Why can't our aspiration be beyond that? But then came an occasion about 30 and a half years ago, January 1995. We had our strategy retreat. Of course, I was in charge of it. Then my line director said, we should get one of us to do a topic, a session on the weaknesses of FCMB. I asked all the EDs, they ran away from the talk. Me, face Otumba, and telling the weakness of FCMB, never. I then said, okay, if no director will handle that, let me come to my level, head of business unit. I asked round, everybody said, me, lie, I can't face Otumba and tell him that. I said, okay, I will take the topic. So I told my team in the strategy unit, let's have just 10 bullet points, weaknesses of FCMB. We went to Ijebu, the retreat venue. So I wore a face cap. Then I announced to my colleagues, you see this face cap I'm wearing is that of a consultant. So whatever I say, don't see it as coming from a staff of FCMB, but from an external person coming to x-ray you and tell you what you need to change. That's my regular question in strategy sessions. What needs to change? Now, weakness number 5 in the list. We called it as poor organizational climate. So I was then asked to explain what I meant by that. I said, what I meant is that, sir, you had 4 roles in FCMB, or Otumba had 4 roles then. You were the founder of FCMB. He was the majority shareholder. He was the chairman of the board of directors. He was also the chief executive officer. 4 roles in one human being. Powerful. All right? So now I said, sir, what we mean by poor organizational climate is that everybody dances around you. So when I finished my session, tea break, one of my colleagues, Dapapara, came to me and said, Doctor, you are bold, though. I said, what do you mean? I'm hired to tell Baba the truth now so that FMB can be stronger and more profitable. So we left Ijebu. Monday afternoon, he called me to his office during lunchtime. They said, hey, Biodu, can we go over that weakness number 5 again? So inside me, I said, it seems I've gotten myself into trouble. Because here is a man that can fire me by word of mouth. No need for letter. So I said, sir, what I mean simply is that every one of us in FCMB, we like to come to tell you what you like to hear. So that when it comes to time of promotion and maybe some favors, we can be on that list. I said, so the idea, sir, is that we don't want you to pay too much attention to what people come to tell you randomly, especially things that don't point in direction how to make FCMB stronger. Okay, I've gotten your message. You can go. Then about 5 p.m., my line director called me, a Briton, David Drum. He said, Biodu, the chairman just spoke to me now. He said, you had a discussion with him this afternoon. I said, yes, I did. Okay. He said he now understands what you meant by poor organizational climate. So you can delete it from the strategy document. He has gotten your message. So I deleted it. I said, no problem. I said, Baba has gotten the message. No problem. Following day, Tuesday afternoon, he called me to his office again. Hey, Biodu, can we go over that thing again? Now, this is the essence of this story and the connection to the theme we are discussing today. So I now came up with an idea. I said, sir, I am the head of strategy today in FCMB. The way my mind is working is, what do we need to change in FCMB today that make FCMB remain strong and profitable in 100 years' time? Now, he reclined his chair and then asked me, why 100? I said, sir, I chose 100 deliberately because 100 years' time, none of us will still be working for FCMB. I said, but secondly, sir, I don't pray to be alive in 100 years' time. He said, why? We used to have interesting conversations up until he passed on. Occasions he would call to see me, we sit down and just gist, okay? I said, I don't pray to be alive in 100 years' time because by then I'll be 136 years old. Remember, it was 1995, January. I said, I'll be 136 years old. Certainly, I won't look like I'm looking today. And again, I would have become immobile. Maybe sitting in one corner of the living room. And then my great-grandson, little boy, go and play with great-great-grandpa. I know how they usually behave at that age. He won't talk. He just shake his head. I said, my friend, go and play with great-grandpa. He said, no. Come on, what's your problem? Go and play with great grandpa. The boy will now move back and point. I don't want to go near that thing. So I told Baba, I don't want to be alive until one little boy calls me that thing. So he laughed in this same way. But that gave me opportunity to now pass the message on Build to Last. I said, sir, FCMB is your dream. And the prayer of every visionary is that his dream should outlast him. He said, stop. Go and call Busola for me. That is Mrs. Adekusibe, for those who know FCMB very well. She served as Baba's PA up until Baba passed on. So a memo was now issued to all of us in FCMB. Nobody should come to his office to tell him any story that won't strengthen FCMB or make us, make more money the right way. And then say, as for you, Biodu, from today, when you are writing any letter going out of FCMB, don't write head of strategy again. Write under your name the longest title in the bank. Executive assistant to the chairman, chief executive. So I earned that title because I challenged the founder of FCMB to think of building the bank to last beyond him. So, but I'm telling this story now 30 years after. Because that was in January 1995. FCMB today is stronger than we had it then when I was a staff. FCMB is more profitable. And interestingly also, in this ongoing recapitalization of the banking industry, FCMB is in a good position to raise the minimum required. So now, I'm sharing that as an encouragement for corporate chieftains here to look at the companies where either you sit as CEO or a member of the board beyond yourself. And I came across something also that helped me as a person. I started my consultancy also 31 years plus ago. We began operations in March 1994. And I owe that to First Bank. Because First Bank gave me the first transaction in March 1994. And by the way, I was then a staff of FCMB. And that's one thing I will give to Baba. That's Otuba Shpimbalogu. He nurtured us not only as staff of the bank, but as budding entrepreneurs. FCMB was patronizing my company while I was on the payroll of the bank. FCMB was giving my company business while I was still a staff. That's unusual. Okay? So, but looking around globally, you will get copies of my presentation. I have about 3 tables of companies that are over 100 years old. Okay? But I selected a few of them and also gave you a summary why they have lasted so long. The first there is Beretta. Beretta makes guns. Okay? I mean, those who are familiar with military hardware, you'll be conversant with that name. But why is it in operation for so long? They emphasize quality and innovation. There's also this garments company, Brooks Brothers. Brooks Brothers has clothed all American presidents till date. But what does Brooks Brothers emphasize that makes it last so long? They emphasize respect without ostentation. That means when an American president wears a suit, it is not ostentatious, but it is a brand that distinguishes people that command respect. Tata Group, Coca-Cola, IBM. Then in Nigeria, I picked one out, Alabuku. Alabuku is recognized globally as one of the companies over 100 years. It's a Nigerian brand. So I picked it out and said, why is that company resilient? What I found in what is indicated as longevity secrets for Alabuku is efficacy of the product. Alabuku, by the way, is not sold only in Nigeria. It's sold all over the world. Not just in Nigeria, not only in Africa, everywhere in the world. But it's been around for over 100 years. Okay? Secondly, availability. And accessibility is everywhere. It's available. And then affordability. Those are the things I found why that entity is built to last. So let me now come to conclusion. There are several pillars in the framework for build to last. Visionary and ethical leadership, good corporate governance, and compliance. Then, of course, access to long-term capital. In fact, usually, the first two give you an access to long-term capital. And of course, equally, there is what I describe as, operational excellence. In fact, the way I put it in strategy terms is the operations of your company run without drama. That means operations are aimed at delivering value to your customers, not drama. Okay? And of course, digital transformation and innovation. I was in this same hall in December 2018 to address all the heads of banking operations in our banking industry. And I was telling them then how the world of banking would change in 7 years' time. We are there already, 2025. And I told them in this hall that by the time we get to 2025, tech will be so fundamental to banking business that any bank that is not doing end-to-end digitization is unlikely to be competitive. But what I then envisaged for 2025 happened in 2020 because of COVID. Okay? So, but the issue now is today. Where is your own organization when it comes to digital technology adoption? That is also fundamental. Now, in breaking it down into what I call the mechanism of the pillar, I broke it into what I would call the 7 pillars plus, because I spoke to 9 issues, which you will get from the details. All right? So, but it's important to also mention here that the world we live in now requires you to invest in developing your leaders and also investing in your staff, because they man the shop floors. The world we live in now is no longer about VUCA. Like I said earlier, VUCA is old school. What we talk about now is BANI. Be representing, we live in a brittle world. We can't get a better illustration than what happened last week to Sunday this morning. Okay? Potu said, give me 2 weeks. I will decide what to do about this Iran matter. So everybody was waiting 2 weeks. And then in 2 days, the man gave go ahead to strike. So while people were waiting for 2 weeks, so that is an illustration of how brittle the world we live in is. That means the strategy you used in military warfare to win a hill is not the same strategy you require to keep it. So that means what brought you to success today cannot bring you success tomorrow. You live in a brittle environment. Equally, it's an environment of anxiety. That the A there, anxious. The third one is the one we call non-linear. For those who are familiar with statistics, economics and the rest of them, we talk about linear and non-linear. But the one we are in now is non-linear. And the last component of that, that's the letter I, is incomprehensible. When we began to look at COVID-19, then we said there's a difference between complex and complicated. We did a thorough analysis of that in 2020 to understand COVID and how to deal with it. But today, what is happening is incomprehensible. So we call it the banning word. So you will get details of this in my slides. There is also the important place of the capital market in all of this. Because I can't end this without making reference to that, because that is the home turf of Pearl Awards. All right? So now, it provides access to cheaper long-term funding, as the chairman of NGX said earlier on. Okay? It fosters transparency and accountability. Because if your stock is listed on the exchange, by all means, there are rules, there are regulations, there are standards you must comply with. Okay, so you are therefore motivated to run your business well because of the demands of the floor on which you are listed. Of course, to facilitate collaboration and partnership, the capital market will also deepen sustainable business practices. Of course, as our chairman said earlier, platform for capital formation and more efficient resource utilization. And of course, many exciting stories we can mention there. GT Co, Zenith, Seplat, MTN Nigeria, Bua Foods, etc. Okay? Now, how about policy and institutional support? This now speaks to government. And thank you very much, sir, for that exciting good message. Very loaded. In fact, we encourage that all the speeches made there, people in attendance should please get copies. Now, there's need to have regulatory reforms that you mentioned in your address, sir, to be in line with market dynamics. Very important. So that we can promote transparency and also ensure efficiency. Then there's a need to deepen incentives for capital raising. That if the company raises capital from the market, what are the incentives for that? So that we bring more companies to list on the exchange, rather than look at the exchange otherwise. Then collaborations, of course, to deepen backwardation. Backwardation is the new term that replaces backward integration. So you don't think I'm creating the grammar myself. It's a global thing. All right? Then we need to strengthen the rule of law and, of course, dispute resolution. And then, as you also said in your speech, intensify ease of doing business. So let me conclude this way. Companies that are here, what should they do? Good governance, innovation, professional and diverse boards, very important. And of course, risk management is fundamental. And then, think beyond the founders. Then, regulators. We need policy consistency. We need also commerce facilitation. Because the essence of regulation is not to stifle commerce, but to facilitate it. So there must be a handshake between regulators and operators. Market access, collaboration, and to also minimize compliance costs. Very important. This is a global phenomenon. The last component is for investors. Investors should also deliberately reward long-term outlook, not short-term gains and benefits. And of course, also engage in policy advocacy. Let me end it this way. And it will be to remind us something that I came across, I think about 6 years ago. The Challenge of Directors of Nigeria gave me a mandate to prepare a training module for family businesses in Nigeria. So in researching for that, I came across this advisory business in the US that was founded by a man who was late as at that time. His son took over from him running the consultancy. He also had passed on. And then his granddaughter was now the CEO running that consultancy. And she was already in her 60s. I said, okay, so even in my own field of consultancy, there can be succession. So one day, my daughter brought her twins to the office. They were 2 years old. So the first of them is a girl. I carried her, put her on my chair, and carried my phone and took the photograph. And then shared with the family that the future CEO of BA Consult. From that very moment, I also began to think about BA beyond me. And to the glory of God, I will say, I retired from BA as CEO end of May 2024. So that company has run now for a year plus without me as CEO of the company. So it is doable. Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. For those standing, thank you. Thank you. For those standing, for those clapping, thank you very much. For those shaking hands with him, God bless you. And for those who appreciate what he did, your companies will last 100 years and beyond. I like Nigeria. It's not by amen. No. is by hard work, is by doing what is right, but most importantly, by putting into practice some, if not all, that he said. Can I have another round of applause for him, please? When we started, ladies and gentlemen, I spoke extensively about a book that, in my estimation, that young mind in Kano, Port Harcourt, Aba, Ibadan, or Maiduguri will pick up and say, this is the roadmap I've been waiting for. It's now time, ladies and gentlemen, to do that which we have come to do. I will be needing you, Mr. Address Holmes. Okay. I'll be needing you very soon to help me unveil. I'll be needing quite a couple of you to help me unveil. But first, let me start by observing protocol by inviting Mr. Governor to please come to the table where we'll be unveiling. Permit me to invite Honorable James Abiodun Falike as represented to please also do us the honor. I'd like to invite the representative of Dame Dr. Mrs. Adora Umeoji, Group Managing Director of Zenith Bank, to please join us. Dr. Emomotimi Agama, please join us. The chairman of our board walked in at the right time. Please join us. And like the great MK Abiola says, you cannot shave the head of the owner in his absence. I'd like to invite Mr. Tayo Rekoya to please join us by the table. I think we still have more space so they don't accuse us of gender inequality. Can I have the two elegant ladies on the front seat join us? Chief Mrs. Eniola Fadayomi and Mrs. Oluwatoyi Sani. I've also been told that if we do not call him, we will not move a step further. So, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to invite NGX Chairman, please join us. God bless you. Director, Ministry of Finance, Incorporated, please join us. And a man that I know his outfit will last 100 years. Please join us, Mr. Onosoya. In case we need some strong legal advice in the next 100 years, Mr. Borodo, Alaji Borodo, please join us. We might be needing some... Now, the keynote speaker will need somebody to be speaking for us in the next 100 years when we get there. He will not be sitting just in the corner. Ogabayo, please come. Director Pampe, please join us. God bless you. MD Transcorp, please join us. My wife is somewhere in the audience. Please join us. Representative of Mr. Kayode Falowo, please join us. Give me some more, please. Give me some more. Pampe, please join us. Total Mutual Benefit, join us. Oga Mazio Habua, join us. Oga Soni Wosu, join us. All the photographers, join us. You say no, you're not calling me for somebody else. MD Academy Press, join us. Now I will need your help for those in front to stretch their hands towards the book or what is hidden. It might not be a book. It might not be the book. I can't join you. I have to stay far from you. And so, if you're ready, together we'll spell 30 and we shout, "Congratulations, Pearl." Are you ready? Give me one T. It's not I'm tired, we want to spell. It's 30 we are spelling. Are you ready? Give me one T. H. I. R. T. Y. Congratulations. Congratulations, Pearl. Please, can we hold a copy each? Can we hold a copy each? This is the fire nobody is afraid of. It's titled Winning Strategies of Nigeria's Corporate Giant, a compendium of exemplary leadership excellence and astute service delivery. A Pearl Awards 30th anniversary publication, and this is the second edition. Ladies and gentlemen, your excellencies, we are happy that generations yet unborn would hold this book and thank all those here for their contribution to history. A round of applause for them, please. On that note, since you are all here, you will not leave until I say leave. I will ask you to please leave the speaker because it will keep echoing. Let me invite the representative of Dr. James Abiodun Faleke to make his... because what is MON without EY?
I'll make my with 20 million for 50 copies.
Thank you very much. Somebody from the House of Reps cannot just come and be trying to scare my governor. The representative of the governor should come. Is the #1 security officer of the state as well as the custodian of our wealth. Lagos will speak now.
Thank you so much. Well, we are in the season of renewed hope, and then a place where you don't have to exhibit all your strength in terms of naira and kobo. Everybody knows how rich Lagos is. So I'm not going to make any pledge right here, but I assure you that by the time I report back to the publishers and all of those people put this together, they are going to have so much nice story to tell. Thank you. I will get back to you.
Thank you, sir. By the powers vested in me, I hereby cancel all I shall not announce, spiritually and physically, in Jesus' name. I'd like to invite one of Nigeria's finest banking minds, the man who has an address that is in the address homes, Mr. Onosoya, to please, Dr. Onosoya, to please do his part and leave his wristwatch for me when he's going.
You know, as a banker, I was not allowed to, but now I'm not a banker. I would pick 5 copies for 5 million naira.
You have forgotten the wristwatch, sir. So where do I go from here? I'm afraid of your regulatory. He might say he won't announce now. That's my fear. And if I harass him, you will not allow me to harass him. Apex Regulatory, over to you, sir. No, we're not asking you to donate. Okay, so what we need you to do, sir, is take as many copies of the book as possible and send to universities and higher institutions around Nigeria. No, I am regulating this. I'm your regulator this afternoon. Can I have a round of applause for you, please? I'm afraid to call somebody now because there's a precedence. But I trust Mr. Orekoya to send me somebody that will not follow the precedence. A round of applause for Zenith Bank, the bank at the zenith of it all. Oh, please hold on.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm happy to represent my group managing director. We have been partners in progress with the Pearl Awards. And if you see this copy, you'll see her interview in the book. So she has asked that we take 20 copies and bring to the office. She's going to get in touch with the chairman, and I'm sure you will know what she will do. Thank you.
Or better still, she's my sister. Should I just announce on her behalf? Okay. Mr. T, where do I go from here? Should I go to the emeritus who holds the whole stocks in his hand? See, I should not be paid. I should not be, Mr. Orekoya, I should not be paid for this event, for this huge oversight. How can you be here, sir, and I'll be looking for who to launch? Alhaji Kwaranga, do it for me. Thank you very much.
Should I face the audience or I should face those people that are going to launch the book? I've been pushed now to say a figure which my DG have decided to show me the road. So we'll buy for our library. And you know, we have an academy at the NDX too. So I think that will go a long way. But we don't charge, we try to see how to build the future capital market operators. So we'll buy the book, 10 copies at 1 million naira.
Thank you, regulator. Alhaji, Douala Kuso. He said the regulator has deregulated the regulation that you just put down now. So, regulator, sir, it's below the cost of production. So, regulator, sir, should we just give him 2 copies, or we just increase the money we want from him? Over to you, sir. Let me not harass you, please. The regulator is angry with us. All right. So I'll move to CSAS. Every time I hear Pakpam, I'm happy with you. Please make us happier.
Good afternoon. I actually came here to sit on a panel, not to launch a book. Which is why I deliberately did as if I didn't hear me when I was being called. But then I was standing, I'll personally donate 500,000 for 2 books. And then I'll go back to my board and certainly will support. I will donate to the Capital Market Institute at the SEC. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to Transcorp last, please. Is thinking, let me tell you what Transcorp is thinking of doing. Let me tell you what Transcorp is thinking of doing. Mr. Rekoya, Mr. Transcorp is calculating everything that has been donated and intends to double it. Sir, Greenwich, or Greenwich? I will know if there's winch in it now.
Okay, as a banker, we don't make a public announcement, but I trust my chairman. It's good to go back to the organizer. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Mazi, please let me come to you, sir. Okay. Okay, let me go to Transcorp now. Transcorp collects money for people to sleep. Please wake us up.
No setup here. Okay. I would take 5 copies for the sum of 2 million naira.
Thank you very much. God bless you. And you are all board members. Mutual benefit, where are you, please? I've not seen Academy Press. I've not seen Pampe. Stanbic IBTC. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Can I have somebody quickly from... It's coming, God bless you. Let me tell you what we're going to do. I want to announce that you're about to announce.
No, just what they want to do. For mutual benefit, we are going to get
Pam?
So we're going to take 5 copies and we'll pay 300,000 for the 5 copies. Okay, so I'll take 1 copy, 200,000.
Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you.